What's up, everybody? It's Ty the Bourbon Guy, and welcome back to my channel for another whiskey review. Today, we are reviewing Maker's Mark 101. Maker's Mark 101, to me, is a very interesting bottle because it falls almost right in the middle. Maker's 90 proof is the one that a lot of us are familiar with and we see all over the place. Maker's Cask Strength typically falls in somewhere between 109 and 110 proof, somewhere in that range. So 101 is kind of right in the middle. The very first thing I like to do is just look at the bottle. Now, I am not a fan of the screw top lid. The cork, I don't want to call it a cork. It's not a cork. I don't know. The screw top of the Maker's bottles, I'm just not a fan of them. When they switched some of their bottles, especially the Maker's 46 bottle, I was really upset about that. I just feel at this price point, give me a cork. And I don't know if there's a particular reason as to why they're doing this, but the screw top with everything else that Maker's does to make that bottle feel special and elegant and classy and their brand, everything else, the screw top to me just doesn't fit the brand. But that's just my rant. Some bottles, screw tops are perfectly okay because I paid $12 for you, and that makes sense. Maker's Mark products, I just feel like they should have a real cork. I don't know if that was to differentiate between some of their other products, the wood finishing series. I'm not sure, but either way, enough about the cork. Let's move on. Let's try it out. No cork pop, just a cap, screw, cap, I don't know. Whatever, right? All right, let's pour it up. A little sample, and one for good luck. Ooh, one for a lot of luck. It's in the glass here. We're gonna see what aromas are coming out of this whiskey. Now, a lot of people have said the same as me, and that makes me feel better, but I always get cherry out of Maker's Mark, and the reason why I say that is because I wonder if it's the red that makes me think cherry. I've always been curious, is that the case, or do I really smell cherries in this whiskey? For me, Maker's Mark has always been a softer whiskey, and I'm sure that's the wheat factor playing into it, but the characteristics are still the heavy vanilla, oak, caramel, those types of things, with an additional fruit note of the berries. This, to me, in comparison to the 90 proof, is that turned up. The only downside I would say, and I don't know that it's a downside, but the only thing that really changes for me is the amount of oak. So I do get more oak in this one compared to a 90 proof. But I'm a fan of oak. Some people are not a fan of the oak. I don't want to say bitterness, but I am a fan of the oak aroma that's coming out of this whiskey. I get that wheat. It's almost like wheat bread, which not anything special. I mean, it's a wheated bourbon, so yes, I would assume wheated bread might be one of the notes. But again, at this being a Kentucky bourbon, we're not really going off the rails. This pretty much stays home. This is caramel, vanilla, oak. The only thing that's a little different is the wheat, and two, the cherry note. There is a little citrus that I get in here, almost like a orange peel. It kind of reminds me of when if you're cutting an orange and you kind of cut it in maybe quarters or something, and then you start to peel that orange. For some reason, when I peel that off, it's not the peel that's just been sitting there, but that initial, when I break the orange and I'm starting to peel it away, those aromas hit me. That's kind of what that makes me think of. So orange, cherry, I would say a bright nose. Some noses, in my opinion, some aromas, in my opinion, could be a little darker, heavier. Notes like tobacco, leather, dark chocolate, oak. Those heavy, dark notes. With this particular bottle, I get brighter notes. Those fruit notes, the wheat, the softness, all that kind of comes through on the nose. More importantly, let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. More oak comes through on the palate than I would say the nose. Some of the fruit that I anticipated is actually dialed back a little bit. The nose The fact that that nose was so bright and had those fruit notes in there, I still get that on the palate, but it's just not as prevalent as it was on the aroma. So the palate, between the oak is definitely there. The vanilla, the caramel vanilla, those flavors are there, but I almost want a little bit more of the fruit. There is some there, but again, I don't know if it's because of the oak bitterness or if it's maybe just at a higher proof than the Maker's 90. But I wish there was a little bit more of the fruit in there, more fruit forward, to kind of balance it out just a little bit more. I think if you're interested in Maker's products or weeded products, I think you should definitely give this a shot. The finish is probably like short to medium. It doesn't really last too long. I still think overall, if somebody was interested in the Maker's Mark 90 proof, they wanted to try something else on the Maker's line, they enjoy Maker's, cast strength may be too much of a jump to try to go to from a 90 proof. The 101, or typically, like I said, the 46, I almost think maybe the 101 first, just to get more exposure into the Maker's Mark notes and see what Maker's Mark whiskey really, really tastes like before going into the wood stave finishing with the Maker's 46. I think you will enjoy it, and you may be like me to where you like it, and you either like it for yourself or you like it with friends enough to go buy a backup bottle. So I think with that, this is a 91 out of 100. There's other bottles that I would rate a little bit higher than this that are in this price range that I would probably grab before this. But if you're familiar with Maker's Mark, or you enjoy weeded products, or you're looking for substitutes for other weeded bourbons that are very popular and never on the shelf, or they are at a crazy price, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying this. Thank you so much for watching this review. Hopefully this helps you in your whiskey journey. I'll see you in the next review. Cheers.